TreCru, HappiDaze here. In today's video, we are doing another season of Grand Party. So this season's a little bit different. So the buff rule set is a little bit different. So we just take a look at what the current rule set is. Really, they want you to either use the Rocks Pirates, the new Rayleigh Gaban that just came out, or a Logia type user as well. So unfortunately, even if you have these, like the boosts aren't really that great. Some special CT increase, some fighter and striker buffs there, but obviously for these kind of GP seasons where you have the burst, captains get additional bursts, and also the requirements to trigger them get lowered. That's kind of who you want to be building teams around. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing a couple matches, at least the first 2 days of matches for this video. We're going to go ahead and use the Rayleigh Gaban. I haven't really got a good chance to use them since they came out, so it's a great showcase. Obviously, they're a fantastic unit for regular PvP on a crew, but their special is a little bit interesting in that it does 7,000 fixed damage against Psi and Int teams, and then, against any team, but then does additional damage against Psi and Int teams. So if you're not facing Psi and Int teams, then you just get the 7k fixed damage, which is a little bit disappointing. So yeah, we're going to do 2 days worth of matches, see how we go, talk about our strategies as we go through, and we might switch it up when we get towards the last couple days, just because I'm not sure if this team will be really good going into the final days where you kind of want those guaranteed wins. I think that Int Luffy might still be a little bit better, but that being said, let's get into the matches and see what happens for the first 2 days. Alright, so for the first fight, let's go ahead and take on a burst captain if we get one. Let's take on Saturn at the top there, so we don't have to worry too much about Saturn. So he does end up negating basically damage to defense for Psi, Int, Driven, and Striker, I believe are the 4 classes. So luckily for us, like the teams that we built here really aren't made to do like a ton of like damage to defense. So hopefully we do pretty good here. So for the first team, really the idea is that we have the sword units there to help get the confusion. Smoker does special bind. We have obviously the Rayleigh Gaban, who can do damage to defense, and then we have Saturn, who just gives a little bit of some buffs and special bind. So the advantage of facing Saturns, from what I found at least, is that because you're not playing against like an AI human, typically they would obviously use their special, the Saturn special, right before you're going to do your big move that went damage to defense, right? So the fact that the AI doesn't kind of play by that logic and instead kind of plays a gotta win, it gives you a good opportunity there to be able to kind of set the field and really take advantage of any Saturn boss. Now you still take the 6k fixed damage, which is obviously a pain. But it's much easier to deal with Saturn bosses, I think, now that we've kind of had a little bit of time to go through them and see what they are. So there you go. You can see so far, like, we're just wiping the floor with their team right off the bat. Really nothing too scary there. So yeah, that is the first fight of the first match of the day. Let's go ahead and take on fight number 2. Looks like it's a slasher team in the second. We have our kind of powerhouse crazy team here. Obviously, we have a fully maxed out Big Mom and King Kaido, so they can hit like a tank. Same thing with the Luffy. Pizarro does some of the special bind, action bind. And we have the Blackbeard Law unit there with Blackbeard. Obviously, to just kind of help out with, again, some special CT reduction. So we can hit him off the back just so we can get the special charge. We do have type advantage for the third match, so if we do lose this match, it's like not the end of the world at all. But, you know, given that the Slash teams aren't kind of nearly as scary as they once were, I think that we could probably pretty well handle this team. Half stats, of course, always helps. Our special is ready again, so we're going to use it. Okay, yeah, I was worried we were going to lose some people there, but luckily everyone's holding on, which is good. So go ahead and use our second special there, and at this point, it's GG. So it's a pretty quick first couple matches. Like I said, Saturn's really not that scary of a boss, unless you have teams that are really kind of built upon doing damage to defense. Then obviously it can be a little bit harder. But against the CPU boss, it's much easier to go against him and leverage what it is. So there we go. Win number 1 secured for the first day. That's awesome. Let's keep up the victory train going. Again, you have a bunch of refreshes, so you don't have to kind of go too crazy worrying about losing on this first day. But that said, let's get into match number 2. Alright, so for match number 2, let's see if we can get another burst captain. Hey, we got 2 burst captains there. I'm going to face this Kaido in the middle just to see how we go. Unfortunately, I don't have my strength team up this season, so obviously if I had type advantage, it would make this first match really easy. But for the first couple days, I'm just going to kind of keep the teams as they are, not really care too much about the type advantage stuff. Kaido obviously is always a pain to deal with. He can do an absolute ton of damage with his special, charges his special by taking damage as well. So it's never really too fun to face that Kaido unit as a GP burst leader, but hey, it is what it is. If we can keep him, basically have a tank team for the second team and tank some of those shots. If we can take one in the first match, that would be awesome, and then take 2 in the second. That'll give us basically 2 specials going into the third match and make it really easy to kind of get the victory there. So gonna just go ahead and use my special there again because they don't have a site or people on their team. They don't get that damage to defense just with the 7,000 fix, which is kind of a pain, but it is what it is. So yeah, at this point, everyone's pretty much at full health. So yeah, no worries here about this first match. Super in hand. Smoker comes in, does more special bind, and at that point now we're just waiting for everyone to go. Of course, the sword members are just going to do some more confusion. So even if they want to, they can't really do much. So I think I'm just going to skip ahead here in just a second, just to keep these videos a little bit on the shorter side. But you can see with int teams, it's really easy now to kind of melt through teams. All right, that's exactly what we wanted. We took one of the Kaido bursts, kicked out 2 units or 2 members of our team, which isn't a big deal. We can totally get around that. Satin's gonna give us just a little bit more heals, a little bit more defense, and now basically we're just waiting for everyone to come back so we can just do the damage dealing and end this right here. So that was the ideal situation we were hoping for. So now he only has 2 bursts left. So I'm going to swap up, put my Dex team in the middle. And that way with that Dex team in the middle, actually, you know what, there's type advantage there at the final match. Actually, yeah, I'm just going to keep them there. I was thinking maybe originally I could swap them, but then I saw that the second team was a strength team, so I ended up just keeping the order how they were. So it's basically the strength against the driven powerhouse team. Nothing kind of too crazy here. Again, we have burst. Now, the advantage that we have here is that the strength teams don't really have a ton of defense, right? So if we were to use both these bursts right away, it would have been fine, but because his gauge charges by taking damage, I didn't want to just do it right off the bat and then have to take a burst right back right off the bat. So that's kind of why we did it there. So unfortunately, we took a little bit of damage, but nothing kind of too crazy. Puma's coming in, that does hurt a little bit. We lost Bizarro because of type disadvantage there. But once our guys start going, I think we'll be in good shape. But yeah, that's kind of rough here. So I don't think I'm going to end up winning this match, but at least Kaido will use his 2 specials here. Okay, never mind. I did win the match. Yeah, so that was kind of close coming down to the wire. We did end up winning with the 2 specials there. Got 2 wins for the day, bringing us 1 step closer to 3 wins for the first day. So yeah, like that victory. It wasn't expected to win that second match, but sometimes that's how it works with RNG. Let's get into match number 3. Alright, so for the final fight of the day, let's go ahead and take on this Luffy. We haven't faced the Luffy yet, so obviously he is not that scary. Now we do have to watch out. They have the shooter team up front with the Ryzen and Shinobu who could do the nasty special bind, and it's just kind of a pain to deal with. But ultimately, like it almost looks like an auto-gen team. Like in some ways, it kind of looks auto-gen. So not really too worried about this. Of course, we do charge the Sai Luffy's GP leader ability by him giving damage. So basically you want to make sure that we minimize the ability for him to give damage. Now again, because they can do the special bind here and the action bind, it makes it kind of difficult to prevent that, but it is what it is. Like I said, we have Smoker to help out there, and we can kind of get rid of these guys hopefully pretty quick with some of these special bursts. Obviously, once the Rayleigh Gaban go, that's really the main damage dealer here. Should hopefully knocked out the whole team there. So yeah, at this point, it's over. There's really nothing that the Luffy can do there, and it'll kind of go into the second and third match to see who will win. Of course, they are doing a little bit of damage, so I'm guessing that worst case we'll take 2 bursts in the second round, and then just have an extra burst going to the third round, which will give us more enough to get over the finish line here. Of course, for the second and third match, they do have, it looks like, int and side teams in those slots. So we should be able to, actually, I think it's both side teams. I think that's both the Gear 5 Luffy there, but that means that the additional damage that we do because of the Rayleigh Gaban GP leader ability to do extra damage for Sai and int teams, we'll just make sure that we can kind of get through this team pretty quickly. So again, nothing to really worry about here. This is kind of just the sacrificial team in the middle, but because we have the type advantage there and the GP burst, we should easily be able to take these guys out before we have to get to the third match, which is just how you kind of want to win these matches. Now, that confusion is obviously not good. Very painful for that to happen, so that's kind of unfortunate for us. is what it is. We're going to take a burst here. Like I said, we want this team to take 2 bursts, worst case. So I could pretty much at this point probably skip and feel pretty confident that we could still win. We still have obviously Soba Mask there. We have a special that we're going to launch here, which should take a good chunk of the rest of their team out here. Yeah, there we go. We're going to take the death hit from Garp, which is just a pain to have to deal with. So now it's 2-on-1. Should have saved the burst there. I thought really that burst would have took out the whole team, but ultimately it didn't change the end result much. We still would have been able to take out that final team if we would have lost that second match, but hey, gave us the win for the day, got us the perfect for day 1, facing 3 burst captains, which you love to see, love to play around with. So that being said, let's get into the day 2 matches, see if it went any better. Alright, so for the first match of day number 2, again, I guess we'll go with the Int Luffy, right? We faced the Psy Luffy at the end of the day yesterday, we'll go with the Int Luffy today. Now, he does his GP burst by taking damage, so that's kind of the tricky part. Same thing like how we fight Kaido. But ultimately, like, this team, like, really isn't that scary. There's a bunch of quick units and things like that on here, but ultimately, like, this team really isn't scary at all. So not gonna worry at all about it. Again, we'll have our unit Smoker and the Sword members there to just help do Special Bind and Confusion, make sure they can't really go. And then we just want to make sure that before we use our burst captain ability, we're just making sure that we're not, enabling them to get their special off and then just kill us like that. So luckily, we're in a pretty good spot here. Obviously, Sabo's just kicking people off. Gonna get some buffs here from Saturn, as well as doing some action bind on some of the users there. So love to see that, or special bind, sorry, on some of the users on that side of the field. So yeah, there we go. First match, we got a pretty easy victory. They're going to have their burst pretty much ready to go right off Riff, probably in match 2, just because we wiped out their whole team pretty much at that point. So again, strategy I like to use when I can't see the teams or I have confidence that I can take 2 bursts, it's just throw that really bulky Dex team out there and they can just tank things for days. Now, obviously, if you get matched up against a strength team, that's a problem, right? So, for example, here we have Kuma and the Luffy, who have strength units who are really good, who could just, wipe out our whole our whole front bench like that. I'm just using the special here because I know I'm just gonna charge it again and have 2 specials ready for the final match anyway, so it's not a huge deal there. So yeah, we took that shot. It was pretty nasty, and obviously if we take another shot, we're definitely gonna lose this match. Because two Int Luffy bursts are almost impossible to deal with in one match and come out on top. So, is what it is. Luckily, we did pretty good there. That's the second burst. Again, it doesn't really matter because we're using this team so that now the Int Luffy on their side has no more bursts. Now, I'm pretty sure I could take out these units because a lot of them don't have that much health. So I'm just going to go ahead and use that to hopefully be able to take them out before they're able to attack. 3-on-2, all our specials are ready. And Sanji's just like, nope, not going to happen. So, yep, there we go. Should be a nice, easy way to get the first win of the second day. And just pretty much seal a fate for that first fight. Alright, there we go. Win number 4. Let's go ahead and see if we can keep the streak going. Win number 5. Alright, for match number 5, let's go ahead and take on this Roger. We haven't taken on this Roger yet, so if I remember correctly, I think he does half stats and some fixed damage, so nothing kind of too scary. Now, obviously, it's always a pain to deal with side teams. Actually, I thought it was a side team with Garp up front, but it looks like it's not a side team. So, yeah, this should be a pretty straightforward win for this first battle. Obviously, Kuma does damage to defense, which is really not fun to deal with. We don't have any free spirits here up front, I don't believe, so I don't have to worry about the knockout there. So yeah, as long as we can get our guys to kind of go first, kick off their specials, and then just go ahead and use a burst just to get rid of that Kuma. He's probably the only one that I'm really scared about on the front line. But we are going to take that death shot from Garp, so that's kind of the downside there, but not anything that we can't get around or get out of. Just missed out killing Kuma, but he has Confusion on for at least a couple more seconds anyway, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal, and Rayleigh Gaban is just about ready to go. So we're just going to hope that... okay, so we took 2350 fixed damage, and then we took the half stat. So the half stats is a little bit of a pain, and yeah, just a little shot there from Akainu, but nothing kind of too crazy. So there you go. Yeah, we're at this point in complete control, which is good. You love to see that. They already used one of their burst specials, so we don't have to really worry too much as long as we get them to use one more on fight number 2. That means, worst case, we have an extra burst going into the third fight there. So, yeah, we'll just kind of go along here. Sabo's going to kill one of the units himself here. A 9k shot on Akainu, which is awesome. Saturn just adding some insult to injury, and we should have killed this guy in just a second. Yeah, there we go. Half stats was a little bit of a pain, but we got around that pretty easily. For fight number 2, let's see what kind of team they have in the middle here. Yeah, we're just gonna. Okay, I was just gonna skip it. I didn't think we were gonna actually win this fight. I actually thought we were just gonna use this fight to absorb the burst, but yeah, apparently that's not what happened. So yeah, it wasn't like a crazy team. Like I didn't see too much synergy on there, so it was actually a pretty straightforward victory there. Even if they had the ability to use the burst, which they used the second burst there. But yeah, easy victory. Let's go on to the final match of day number 2. All right, so for the final match, let's see. Let's just go. I've been facing a lot of burst captains, but still, we'll end it on another burst captain. Why not? We'll take on this Sai Luffy. Like I said, he's probably the easiest out of the burst captains to beat these days, so it's not that big of a deal. We got an int team out front, so again, we really benefit from fighting int and Sai teams. We get that extra damage as part of the GP burst, which is just insane, and plus you get the extra burst with the Rayleigh Gaban for the season, so it just makes it that much more crazy. So that's good. We'll definitely leverage that, and that means that when our specials are ready, we're just going to probably absolutely wipe hopefully that whole front line or most of it. Yeah, you can see we pretty much wiped the whole front line. Sabo's going to take care of Kaido there. So really easy first way to kill them there. Of course, they charge their Sai Luffy burst captain charge by giving damage because it's that version, not the int version. So we have the benefit there. That pretty much I don't know if they actually did any damage, to be honest with you, for that first fight. So we don't have to worry about taking bursts. So at this point, I'm just in all, let's just win the second fight really quick. Don't even allow them to get a chance off to be able to fight back. So again, here, the only unit that worries me is that Odin because of his ability to do special bind, which is a pain to do. But outside of that, like, no other unit on here is really scary. Even their backbench isn't that scary. So it should be like a really simple victory. Again, we're just gonna, once our burst goes, it's just gonna do so much damage just because of the damage it does to Sai and int teams there. So fantastic ability for fighting those two teams. But again, if you're fighting, or if you're building teams for Rayleigh Gaban, which is usually geared towards Dex, Quick, or Int, you know, you're not going to be fighting too many int or side teams out there. So that's the tricky part. It's easy when you can see the teams and know that there's a side team or any team coming. You can kind of choose the which opponent you do to kind of maximize your chance of winning. But once you start losing the ability to see your opponents, it becomes more of a gamble in terms of, you know, do you save the special for maybe a later match where they might have a int or side team do that additional damage. So it's just kind of an interesting mechanic there. But there you go. With that, we're able to compare 2 days of Grand Party there. I am switching my leader here at the end of the day. Make sure you switch your leader just so that everyone can fight non-burst captains. It's not really too crazy on the first couple days, so you have unlimited refreshes pretty much, and you can retry a couple times. So it's not a big deal, but make sure that when you're done for the day, you set your captain to a non-burst captain just to give everyone a chance to get those 15 wins. No reason not to. How about the community? With the community strat there. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. I'll have videos for the next upcoming days as well. Again, I don't know if I'm going to stick with the Rayleigh Gaban. It probably will largely depend on what enemies I'm seeing. I do really like having the int Luffy leader. He's like my favorite leader probably since the game came out. Or probably my favorite GP legend for burst since he came out. So last couple days I might switch back to him. We'll see. But yeah, you're not going to use the Rocks Pirates. The Rocks Pirates are absolutely horrible for what they can do. Really just buffing strikers. But one interesting thing I might try is using Sabo. He does get the Logia buff there, and he boosts 4 classes. I forget exactly what they were. It was Int, Cerebral, I want to say maybe Driven and Striker or something like that. There are 4 classes that Int Sabo buffs. So he might actually be a really good opportunity to leverage him and use him, but we'll see. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know how your first couple days of Grand Party are going. And as always, until next time, be kind to each other. Thanks.